Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this latest edition of ReTFOS, where I take old narrations I've done and update them to modern audio standards. As always, I hope that you enjoy. The Wawhul Yurt, written by RegalLegalEagle. There exists upon the various realms an eatery that provides not only sustenance, but an experience. It carries an atmosphere of comfort and welcome, no matter how utterly and blindingly drunk someone might or entirely sober, no matter how peaceful or wantonly aggressive, no matter how normal or frighteningly strange. It is a place where all are welcome to soak up their booze and greasy food, drink some coffee while they study, or just otherwise take a break from their lives. It is a place that never closes. It is always open to anyone, just waiting for you to step out of your routine and into the beautifully bizarre world that is the Wawhul Yurt. Now I'm taking you to the human concert. Jaeger had long since given up trying to keep both eyes open and settled for just peering at the world around him through one. It seemed to help, sort of. Things weren't wobbling on him quite so hard. The only reason he was even able to walk forward at all was that he was partially supported by his new friend as they both slowly staggered together, mostly forward, bouncing off each other for mutual support, as they forced their legs to try and continue in the direction they sort of wanted. That bubbly stuff, human food is so greasy, bad it's like, bad, whispered Tail muttered as Jaeger made it up to the edge of the building, thumping against the window and leaning on it for a moment to steady himself. This is the last bit of distance to the door. You are what Figs probably call a deca basu. Jaeger wagged a finger at the Ravix, who growled a moment and tried to reach down and grab the finger, but missed, and then staggered forward as Jaeger had to quickly-ish try to grab him and keep him from stumbling off course. What's a deca-basu? Whispered Tail asked, as they slowly slid along the south side of the building, staggering closer to the door. I don't know, some weeb something. Jaeger shrugged. I don't know the species weeb, Whispered Tail mentioned with a frown and looked very concerned right before belching and then looking better. Yeah, you get it. It's like, they're a whole nother species. Jaeger nodded and then finally grabbed the door, pulling it open before staggering inside, colliding with the counter before slowly easing himself into a seat. Been a while, Jaeger, a somewhat larger woman with indeterminate age who may or may not be wearing a wig, mentioned as she leaned on the other side of the counter, already reaching for a pot of coffee to pour into the man's mug. Hey, Candace, my favorite waitress. Jaeger nodded and then reached back to help drag Whispertail into the seat next to him. This is my new friend, Grumptail. He snickered a little. Whispertail, Ravix growled out. Can't be the hangover yet. Why does I have to whisper? Jaeger asked before giggling a little. You're so drunk. I'm not the drunk. You're the drunk. I'm just tired. Whispertail grumbled before slowly trying to pick up one of the laminated menus, his claws having trouble trying to pick it up off the counter. Super human menus, inferior. Sky, I got this, Jaeger insisted as he set his hand on the new friend's shoulder. We want. He took a moment to switch which eye had been open to try and get a clearer image of Candace to focus on. 2 browns, scattered, covered, smothered, chunked, to start, and pecan waffle. Then petty melt split, then... He looked over and up. You want T-bone or fried pork chop? Yes, Whispered Tail nodded slowly as Jaeger frowned up at them. No, not which? He asked. Yes, Whispered Tail nodded a bit more fervently. Okay, fine, both. Jaeger shrugged at Candace. You know the order to bring him. The waitress just nodded and turned back as a young fry cook behind her was already passing up 2 plates with pecan waffles on them. Once Jaeger had stumbled through the door, they'd started cooking. The old soldier was a bit predictable when he was entirely inebriated state. Yes, pecan waffle. Jaeger took her butter and completely slathered it all over the steaming hot waffle to ensure that every possible nook had its fill of yellowy cream. Then he muttered a little and reached for the syrup. He wanted to obliterate his waffle in syrup next. But as he reached for it, a hand swooped in to snag it first, and he blinked as he tried to focus on the figure next to him, while she poured the syrup all over everything on her plate. Hey, I wanted that, Jaeger muttered. Well, too bad. I take what I want, and I wanted your syrup, the woman hissed back, giving her fiery red hair a quick toss. Jaeger frowned a bit and tried to focus on her a little longer. You related to Brandy Lynn? He muttered. Brandy Lynn? That sounds like white trash name, the woman scoffed. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Jaeger nodded. How dare you? I'm no white trash. I'm Pirate Queen. She pulled a sword from her hip, then holding it high. You have no idea who you are insulting, Fry. Before she could do anything else, the fry cook quickly brought his spatula up and parried her sword down. No Juding, you know the rules, Andy. He wagged a finger at her. My name isn't Andy, my name is Beautiful. But you have to say the whole thing, Andromeda, she huffed. No dueling, the fry cook insisted, as he glared at her. Despite being a teen and smaller than her, he didn't back down. You want to eat here? You can't wave swords around. Fine, the woman huffed and sheathed her sword before sitting back down heavily at a stool. Jaeger, meanwhile, was just trying to look at her companion on the other side, a dull-coated Japassi in an outrageous sailing admiral's uniform or something. What's with your Japassi friend? Is he Japassi? I think he is, but his tail is all fucked up, and his ears, and his face. Whoa! And what the fuck is he wearing? Jaeger finally asked as he got a better look at the rather bombastic and impractical coats of clothes. Are you two cosplayers? Are you steam pirates, punks in the air? No, the retribution doesn't run on steam. What kind of idiot would think that? Andromeda scoffed. Diesel? He tried next. No, she growled. What exactly does your ship run on, huh? Not start with that, she tried. Jaeger thought about various ships that he'd been on, and his mind focused on the shard reactors. But rather than being able to even partially explain the complicated nature of their power, he just muttered, Magic crystals? Magic crystals. I can't tell if you're a regular idiot or if you're trying to be smart and refer to uranium and other power sources as magic crystals, the woman muttered. Jaeger was about to go on, but the door burst open and a man in a short skirt walked in. Speak of magic and I shall appear. He laughed and stuck out a pose for a moment. Oh no, not the crazy homeless guy again, Candace sighed as she set her hands on the table. I'm not homeless, the proper term is a murder hobo. But that's not it either. I mean, I am an adventurer. That's an actual proper term. Just that people sometimes call us murder hobos, which might be why you think I'm homeless, but I'm not. I am an adventurer. The man nodded as he looked around for a seat. Whoa! Did your husky fall in love with a dragon before they got hit with blood magic or something? He asked as he was at Whispertail, who had bits of waffle, butter, and syrup all over his muzzle. Not husky. I'm perfectly fit for my age. The rabbit scrawled back. You better pay before you're ordered this time. Candace ignored Whispertail and wagged a finger at the newcomer. Yes. I scoured the spleen of existence and brought you one of these little plastic rectangles you demanded. He pulled something from one of the many pockets on his vest and handed it over. This is a library card, Candace muttered. That's fine. Then my library shall pay for my meal. The man nodded, content with that. No, Candace shook her head. Damn you, it's the right size and everything, the adventurer huffed. Hold on. He began to rummage around in his pack then. How about 5 iron daggers? He asked as he pulled them free to show her. No, Candace just shook her head again. Come on, they're worth plenty. Fine. How about an incredibly rare and expensive regent of testicles of... He started to reach into another pocket. No testicles, Candace says. It's worth more than this whole damn building. the adventurer hissed, but Candace pointed to a sign in the corner, and the adventurer squinted at it. Payment cannot be made in animal parts. Well, it's not quite an animal, it's more of a hoob. They were sapient. Does that change anything? She pointed to the sign next to it. No payment in sapient body parts. Shite! That goes most of my ideas. Don't you have gold or something? Candace offered. I thought you mentioned only accepting gold in cart form. I don't have those, just coins. The man shrugged, but Candace held out a hand as he quickly reached into some pockets to pull out various coins. Some Almaran. Most are just from places. Beware of the teal ones, they bite. Candace cast a wary eye on the coins, but finally accepted them. Hey, Steve, I got stuff to pay with. Jaeger frowned as a rabbit without scales or horns or claws came in next, clutching a number of leaves in her hands. Here you're off, my fine lady. I present green leafy things in exchange for meals. Psh! She won't take that, Fenrina, Steve muttered, only for Candace to take them without a question. What? She gets to pay in leaves? I like her, Candace shrugged. Oh, why, thank you, fair lady. I shall like food, please. I'll be in the corner. She began to head to a booth in the corner with Steve as her tail wagged heavily, accidentally smacking the back of a guy sitting at the table with other figures, all in tracksuits. Hey, what's your fucking tail, you mutt? The guy growled out. Oh, Elmerans, happy to meet you. Fenrina turned to greet them. Elmerans? The fuck are they? We're Italians, except for my friend with the skull here. He's Russian. The man pointed to one across from him. Da, came the monosyllabic reply. How people share cultural understanding around tracksuits is all, the man explained. I don't know either of those places. Steve, have you heard of Italia? Fenrina asked. No, they sound like wops to me. Steve shrugged. Whoa! Hey! The table began to growl out at Steve and then, Fecking watch it, buddy. Going around calling people that. What? Wops is a city in Almere. It's a place. Steve shrugged, looking confused. The four men at the table then leaned in to have hushed discussion before they leaned back and the leader spoke again. All right, my friend, in the skirt, we'll allow this one time on account that we're not sure if it really is a city or not. But you best be watching yourself. It ain't healthy to mess with the Godfather. Hey, I'm a fairy godfather myself, Steve added with a grin. A fairy godfather. I guess that explains the skirt. The man cackled at that as Fenrina dragged Steve off. Why do people keep saying that? Steve huffed before taking a seat in the far booth. Jaeger had just turned to start eating his waffle when the door behind him was opened yet again. My favorite pit stop, Wawhul Yurt. A boisterous man came in wearing a large American flag hat, flannel shirt and jeans, followed by a beast of a woman in a uniform. Hey, Mary Sue, Billy Bob, Candace nodded as they entered. Candace, the military officer woman, nodded as they quickly found their seats as well. Sure is getting crowded in here tonight, the big woman mentioned. Sure is, but there's always room for more, the waitress replied. And, as if on cue, the door opened yet again as a cop walked in to find a spot at the counter. Vincent, is that a hole in your chest? The cop leaned back as he looked down at the gaping wound in his chest through the strange gear that he was wearing. Yeah, that'll happen, the cop nodded. Usual before I head off, Candace, he asked, and the waitress nodded and turned to set up a ticket for his meal. Jaeger slowly picked up his own waffle, then as he looked around the place. It was bustling, all right. There were a few high school girls in the corner studying, some lawyer talking about a case even though one had blood splatter in his suit, a nervous twig of a man with broken glasses talking to a cowboy and a priest, a tan surfer laughing it up with a construction foreman, and some brooding old man wearing what looked to be bearskin. Jaeger even noticed another guy in a pirate costume glaring at a punk pirate beside him, who was glaring back. Jaeger figured it must be one hell of a cosplay convention around somewhere, when he spotted a bird woman squawking and bitching about her terrible students to who he thought was a postal courier. With a smile and a shake of his head, he turned back to focus on his food. This was just why he came here, to a place that let everyone call it home, that provided warmth and a safe place to unwind. After a hard day in the life of, well, whatever it is they all did, no matter where they were all from or how long they'd been around, Everyone was always welcome in the Wawhul Yurt. End of story. I'd quickly like to thank the T5 peeps: Cold War Boomerwaffen, Severin Cerberus, Bushmaster 177, Henry the Red, Caspar Arnholtz, Cold War Boomerwaffen, Elijah Silvercross, Dragzoon WRE, and Severin Cerberus. Thank you very much.